How's it going, everybody? This is Top Driver. Hope you're having another great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, so this is pretty much the biggest thing online right now, and so I felt like that I really wanted to get my thoughts on this. I'm going to talk a little bit about the controversy surrounding YouTuber MrBeast. Now, obviously, he is the biggest YouTuber in the world right now, and he worked very hard to earn that title. However, there has been a lot of allegations surrounding him lately that has threatened to do a real number on both his fame and his career. So I feel like that I want to touch on those allegations for a little bit and ultimately share my thoughts on this situation overall. Now, we all know that MrBeast is the alias of a guy named Jimmy Donaldson. Now, the irony about this guy is that I'm just a few months older than this guy. I mean, we're both in Gen Z, obviously, which is pretty ironic. But anyways, he was just like most other YouTubers starting out. He mostly started out as more of a gaming creator, and I believe after only like a semester in college, he dropped out to pursue content creating full-time, obviously. So he was taking a pretty big risk at the time, just like most other YouTubers did back then. In fact, if I remember correctly, I believe he made at one point a video in which he said 5 years later he would probably become the most famous YouTuber in all of the world. I mean, obviously that was a bold thing for him to really make at the time, especially since, you know, there was no guarantee of that potentially happening. But he found a way to be able to do that, and look at where he ended up, at least prior to the last couple of months, because boy, his rise has been rapid. Within a short few years, he went from making video game content to a whole lot of videos with a whole ton of huge skits. Obviously, some of them crazy, a little bit wacky, and some of them just a whole lot of fun looking, obviously. You know, there were a few challenges that he did in which they obviously would reward some of the people that participated in his videos money. And obviously that was pretty interesting itself, because obviously his philanthropy was obviously to give back to those, obviously, and have a whole lot of fun in doing so. And those videos quickly became popular on YouTube. In fact, they quickly became some of the most viewed videos on the internet, and it quickly rose his channel to real fame as a result. And I believe earlier this year or late last year, I don't know when it was, he ended up becoming the most followed YouTuber on the site overall. I believe as of this moment right now, he has around almost 300 million subscribers on YouTube. That is obviously the most all time. Nobody else other than T-Series comes close to that. And look at the fame that he has developed as a result. He has been able to take that to outside YouTube as well. He has his own restaurant chain, he has his own candies, he even has his own, you know, fashion wear and all that stuff. He has so much going on for him that he really has become really the face of Gen Z almost, and also the face of YouTube. And for a guy that's really only just a few months younger than I am, I'm a little bit jealous of that myself, because he ultimately became the guy that you want to follow if you want to have a successful career on YouTube. He was that guy everybody worshipped. He was the guy that really just brought a new era into YouTube, and literally all of his content was just so much fun to watch, and literally it was just hard not to like the guy. I mean, he was such a lovable personality that ultimately, no matter how many people view his videos, it was always going to get like literally 10 or more million views on all of his videos. He was that guy on the YouTube scene. But as we all know, with most YouTubers nowadays, ultimately there's some pretty disturbing backstory that also comes with all the fame that you ultimately have. I talked a little bit about that with EDP445 a couple years ago, and now recently we're starting to learn a little bit more about that with MrBeast. And ultimately, I did not think that any of this stuff in regards to MrBeast is true, but ultimately we are going to talk about it right now, because I do feel like that we need to touch on some of those. One of the first things that has been alleged about MrBeast is that he does have a history of racism and a whole bunch of other weird acts as well. I believe he has talked about it a little bit as well. He has said that he regrets some of those acts. Obviously, you know, I do feel a little bit bad for him on that front, but again, you know, those are just some stuff that obviously you should not be saying at all, whether it's in public or in private. And so the fact that he had to address that, obviously it meant in some sense that it was probably true. And so obviously, you know, that was a little bit disturbing there. But that was just a few months ago. Now we're getting into the allegations that are affecting him right now, and a lot of that has to do with his business. And unfortunately, one of the things that we have learned is that there has been some real inappropriate behavior surrounding some of the people that he has worked with at his own organization. You know, there has been some people that have worked with him him that has displayed, like stalking or something like that, or maybe even like sexting, and even a whole lot of inappropriate acts surrounding all the other people that they have worked with, administrators, colleagues, or even people that are just there to have fun with MrBeast, obviously. And unfortunately, that has made the environment there a little bit more uncomfortable. In fact, if I remember correctly, there was just one person that no longer works there anymore. Her name is Ava Chris Tyson, and she was actually let go because it was recently alleged that she had inappropriate acts around minors and a whole bunch of other people during her time there. And obviously, that was really disturbing. But again, that was only just one person that was having these kinds of issues there. In fact, some of this also carried to Donaldson as well, and several of all the other colleagues that he has worked with as well. And this only just grew bigger as of recently as a result. Some of the most damning allegations, I believe it was this from one guy that also no longer works there anymore. I believe his name was Dogpack404, or I think that was his alias or something like that. He alleged that some of the stuff that has happened in his videos was faked. None of this was obviously real, and ultimately, some of the people that starred in his videos, they felt very uncomfortable at times during the productions of those videos. There were some injuries, there were some unsafe conditions, obviously. It almost felt like the American version of Squid Game or so. So obviously, I don't know if there's like any truth to that, but I would like to hear from some of those that have participated in his videos, so that way we know whether or not that really was the case. But that obviously was pretty bad. For a guy that really says that, he prides on giving back to everybody else and rewarding those that participate in his videos and really just having a lot of fun with them, hearing that a lot of those was actually faked and that, a lot of these people that participated in his videos were bribed and all of that stuff, if any of that is actually true, man, that is just such a bad thing for MrBeast to do. Obviously, I do feel like that, he does need to answer for that. And obviously, I just feel like that for some reason, I feel like that I'm now beginning to think of him a lot differently than I did before all this. That's not all. In fact, he actually has a show announced on Amazon called MrBeast Games, or I think Beast Games or something like that. And there has been allegations, especially from those in the New York Times and, a whole bunch of other networks that have covered this, that a lot of the people that have participated in that show, that as far as I know, I don't know how many episodes it's aired or if it has even been aired at all yet. I don't know yet. But obviously, there have been people that said that there have been some unsafe conditions there during the time of production, obviously, So basically, what we were hearing about his videos basically transferred over into the production of his show. So that's even more problematic in its own right. In fact, even MrBeast's ex-girlfriend has also talked about this a little bit. She even shared a cryptic story on her Instagram in regards to this, with a brief message talking about all the allegations surrounding MrBeast. Now, I don't know exactly if she was referencing him, but either way, if she was, then there might be even more problematic things in regards to MrBeast than we initially thought it was. But again, that's just from what she's saying. His current girlfriend, she's saying that half of the allegations aren't even true, obviously, so we really don't know exactly who to believe as a result. And then, yeah, if you were to combine that with all the allegations of bribery, inappropriate workplace misconduct, his past history of racism, and then ultimately everything that I just talked about here, and you have a big mess that has taken place at MrBeast Studios and the creator himself, Jimmy Donaldson, and it is unfortunately doing a whole lot of damage to his legacy and ultimately his fame, especially since he is still only 26 years old. So yeah, I just felt like that I really wanted to talk about this because there have been so many people that have wanted to become content creators like MrBeast and have tried to pursue success like he did on YouTube and also on other social media platforms as well. He is basically the guy nowadays that you really want to copycat off if you're going to try to reach YouTube fame as a result. I mean, you literally see all the videos that he posts on his videos, all the fun he has doing them. I mean, obviously, again, we now know that they were probably faked, unfortunately. He is the guy that everybody really wants to truly follow in order to have a successful YouTube career. I'm sure a lot of those people now are starting to second guess following MrBeast based on what we are learning about him right now. And the surprising part about all of this, obviously, is that he hasn't really lost a whole lot of followers. In fact, I don't think he's really lost any followers yet on his channel. I believe he still has around like 309 million subscribers on YouTube, the last I checked on Social Blade. But the more we see of this trickle down of all of the allegations against him, then I'm going to be honest with you, I won't be surprised when we start seeing him lose followers on his YouTube channel. I mean, obviously, this might continue until ultimately the damage really starts to take effect. But again, this is the risk of trying to become famous here on YouTube. You know, you try to do a little too much, and then ultimately let your worst instincts come out. And unfortunately, we're hearing that there was quite a bit of that in regards to Jimmy Donaldson. Now, I'm on the belief that you are innocent until proven guilty. So in regards to the racism stuff, he's obviously admitted to that. Obviously, you know, he has apologized for it. But in regards to the rest of this stuff, I want to see what happens from here. Obviously, I want to know, you know, if any of this stuff is true, and if it is, then he needs to answer for it, because obviously, as far as I know, he and his organization have already started a workplace investigation in regards to all the allegations, in regards to several of his employees and all that stuff. I think he himself might need to get his head checked as well, because he too has been named in regards to some of this behavior as well. And it's just a shame, you know, because Jimmy Donaldson, you know, especially when you look at all of his videos as well, he definitely looked like that he was such a really good guy, you know. Obviously, not only did he really care about his content, he really cared about sharing his passion to all of his followers as well. And it looked like, you know, that he just really cared about making a big impact. Heck, he even said that, you know, if he turned 35, he may look at running for president, obviously. You know, I think that obviously is a big risk, considering that, you know, you have to really have a lot of experience in politics to be president. I mean, literally, just look at what happened when Donald Trump became president, obviously, you know, when he had no experience in politics whatsoever. We all know how that turned out. But obviously, you know, he really made a big impact at such a young age, and he was looking to really continue that as he got older. That's now under question. And I really do feel like that Jimmy Donaldson needs to find an answer to this very soon. I mean, if any of this is true, he needs to fix this, obviously. And I do feel like that, you know, if he doesn't, then this is just only going to get worse and worse. And it's ultimately going to get to the point in which ultimately all of his biggest backers ultimately going to stop backing him, and ultimately end up turning away from him, his organization, and all of his friends and all that stuff. And unfortunately, it's just going to put him in a real situation in which all of the fame that he has built up, all of the success he's had, is going to end up going completely crashing down on him if he does not get this thing sorted out very soon. So I would really like to see exactly whether or not these things are true, and if there are more to this story, to Jimmy Donaldson and MrBeast, in the near future. So I will keep my eyes on this, and we will see exactly what happens there. But right now, he is in a very tough situation. But again, the thing that I have to talk about the most here is that this is the risk of putting yourself in the spotlight as a major content creator. If you're doing this to really try to build up a huge following and ultimately become the best content creator you possibly can be, you're going to open yourself up to some risks. And if you end up ultimately doing something stupid, it's going to bite you. And unfortunately, we've seen that happen to so many YouTubers in the past, like EDP445, or for a brief period of time, I even touched on this, Boogie2988. Hey, so many YouTubers have suffered as a result, and they have suffered a decline in their fame because of some of their actions, both on YouTube and off. So yeah, there have been so many examples of those that have ultimately suffered as a result of this. But again, this is a completely different guy we are talking about. This is the biggest YouTuber in the world that we are talking about here, and he is being involved in so much controversy that we have no idea exactly where this is going to go from here. So obviously, this is just, again, a small price that some people pay to try to reach all that YouTube fame. You let your worst instincts out, and unfortunately, you're going to get stuff that, like what we are hearing about Jimmy Donaldson and MrBeast right now. And the irony about this is that I actually read a Daily Beast article from one writer in regards to this situation, and she actually titled this article, "The Monster That YouTube Created," or in her words, MrBeast is the monster that YouTuber created. I'm going to be very frank with you, I think there have been far worse monsters on YouTube that have been created through there than MrBeast. I mean, Andrew Tate. Have we completely forgot about him in this situation? I mean, that is literally an asshole that should have been banned from this space literally like several months ago, if not a year ago of sorts. Literally, watch his space, obviously. That guy is literally a menace to society. But that's not the topic of this video. I'll talk about that another time if you let me know down in the comments if you want me to talk about it. But either way though, this is the thing in regards to YouTube. There are so many people that have such bad intentions that decide to pursue a YouTube career. And most of the time, it's those people instead of those that with good intentions that end up being successful on YouTube. And unfortunately, it's not until later that we find out about all the horrible things that they have done as a result. And ultimately, you know, this is the thing in regards to YouTube. While it does prioritize giving creators the best opportunities to maximize their potential, they don't do a very good job of catching deepfakes, misinformation, or those that ultimately are only on YouTube to do harm. It has happened multiple times before. And it does depend on what your taste on YouTube is, whether or not it's sports videos, gaming videos, or videos like MrBeast does. You know, chances are there may be something about them that you might see that may look like it's good, but once you get closer into them, ultimately it's a lot more disturbing than you think. And unfortunately, there are just way too many people that are here on YouTube that have those kinds of personalities that end up doing stupid things that ultimately gets them into some really big trouble. This is a troubling trend that has continued to happen on YouTube and so many other social media apps, and this is something that really needs to be taken care of. And yeah, I do hope ultimately that we have a better opportunity to be able to discuss this and ultimately find ways to be able to fix this, because ultimately, if we're going to have a lot of fun on YouTube, we need to also do a lot of good stuff in doing so. Ultimately, you know, there's just way too many people that are on YouTube nowadays that have done some really bad stuff, ultimately, both on and outside of it. And I feel like that at some point, YouTube and a whole bunch of other social media apps like TikTok and Instagram and all of those spaces, they really need to figure this out soon, because the more people like, you know, Andrew Tate or EDP445 that come along, unfortunately, it's just going to be very hard to stop people from watching those with the worst possible instincts ever ultimately end up becoming successful. And then the next thing you know, those people, they try to copycat off of them, and ultimately it just gets even worse. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on this. Obviously, you know, MrBeast has worked so hard to be able to get there, but unfortunately all of these allegations are just threatening to completely destroy it. I do feel like that he needs to answer this soon, especially through his investigation. I do hope that there are answers soon, because if any of these allegations end up turning out to be true, this might be the end of Jimmy Donaldson as the greatest thing in all of social media. And boy, that would be a real shame if that were to happen. So I wish him the best. Hopefully he tries to find his way out of this and he explains everything that's going on with him right now, and ultimately, you know, finds a way to really repair the image that has already been partially damaged as a result. But let me tell you right now, it has gotten real ugly at MrBeast Studios right now. And I don't know how he's going to be able to get out of this anytime soon. Alright, so that's pretty much my take on all of this. I like to hear from all of you. What do you think about this situation? If you follow MrBeast, what do you think about the allegations against him? And more importantly, do you think this is the end of MrBeast as the most successful YouTuber in the world? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll be more interested in hearing your opinions about it. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's vlogs, projects, or challenges, you name it. Leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you're having another great day. As always, I hope to see you all again in another video very soon. So long, everybody.